American soldiers first occupied West Point on January 27, 1778. When the harsh winter from late 1777 to early 1778 froze the Hudson River, a Connecticut militia unit marched across the river and set up camp at what is now West Point. Between 1778 and 1780, Polish engineer Tadeusz Kosciuszko designed and oversaw garrison defenses. During the Revolutionary War, West Point was known as Fort Arnold, but after Benedict Arnold's betrayal, it became known as Fort Clinton. Though the location was used for training cadets in engineering starting in 1794, it officially became the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1802. Americans knew the strategic importance of the Hudson River in the war against the British. Afraid that British ships could travel up the river and essentially split colonial forces, the Continental Congress devised a plan to string large chains across the Hudson to stop British ships traveling down the Hudson. Smaller chains were placed north and south of West Point, but in 1778 Americans constructed the largest and most important obstruction to British ships potentially traveling the Hudson, the Great Chain, or the Hudson River Chain, from West Point to Constitution Island. The Great Chain consisted of iron links each 2 feet long, totally 600 yards in full. The British never attempted to run the chain, despite Benedict Arnold pressuring that a well-loaded ship could break the chain. After the war, the chain was decommissioned and melted down for iron. However, a small portion of the chain is still on display at Trophy Point at the Academy. As soon as it became clear to Arnold that the colonial forces were going to grant him command of West Point, he began to discuss deals to give up the fort to the British. He even sent his British contacts detailed drawings of West Point during his first visit to the fort. Finally, Arnold and the British decided that when Arnold had been placed in command of West Point, he would give up the fort and the American position for £20,000 and British command. On August 3, 1780, Arnold was given the command at West Point. After establishing himself, he started to weaken its defenses and started planning the downfall of West Point. He met with British Major John Andre on September 21, 1780, to discuss Arnold's plans to give up the position. However, American forces fired upon the ship Andre planned on taking back to the British position in New York, forcing the ship back downstream. Andre was forced to return overland. Despite Arnold providing him with documents to pass through American lines, Andre was captured, and the plot was revealed. Arnold escaped to the British and American forces hanged Andre. President Thomas Jefferson created the Academy with the intention of creating a national university founded on science. He made Jonathan Adams, a prominent scientist and relative of Ben Franklin, president of the university. Adams had no previous experience in the military. Nevertheless, he accepted the position of colonel and reported to West Point. Despite American forces inhabiting West Point starting in 1778, the American government did not own the land. The land was originally owned by General Stephen Moore of North Carolina. In 1790, Hamilton, as Secretary of the Treasury, purchased West Point from Moore for $11,085. "217 graduates of West Point attained the rank of brigadier general or higher in the Union Army during the course of the Civil War. In addition, about 146 West Point graduates became general officers in the Confederate Army. To current West Point cadets, Sedgwick is an ironic symbol of good luck. Before finals, if a cadet is nervous about exams, they visit Sedgwick's monument on campus in full dress at midnight. Legend says if they spin the statue's spurs, they will pass all their final examens. Ironically, Sedgwick himself was discouraged from taking the entrance exam to West Point, as he was informed that he would not pass. Sedgwick graduated from West Point in 1837. West Point grads designed almost all early American railways, roads, and bridges, as it was the only engineering college in the country until 1824. However, even after 1824, West Point engineers were highly sought after. The chief executive of the Panama Canal, George Washington Goethals, was a West Point grad.